as always, that was Colin Gow with our officially licensed theme song podcast. I am Steve Shoney. I'm the city manager for the city of Upper Arlington. I am here with my co-host,
I'm Darren Schulman. I'm the city attorney. I have some concerns, Steve.
What? Oh.
There's a new mic here. I'm feeling a little like I'm about to be replaced.
So we do have...
I don't know what's going on here. There's usually 3 mics. Now there's 4.
Hi, Darren.
I don't like this at all.
I'm back.
So Jackie Thiel, visually it was very funny. She leans in very slowly as Darren's talking and then comes in with her, "Hi, Darren, I'm back." Yeah. So Jackie Thiel, our assistant city manager, is joining us today.
Just today, or is she kicking me off?
Dude.
Is this a tryout?
We like to keep... it's just like any other sports team. You want your kind of backups at the ready in case somebody, blows a shoulder out.
I don't want to start bench cut because I'm going to get cut.
You pull a full Dame Lillard and blow out your Achilles, whatever. We want to make sure we've got somebody on the ready.
I'm just keeping the pressure on you, Darren.
I know.
You slip, I'm
now I have to prepare and actually do a good job. All right. Well, welcome, Jackie, I guess.
Thanks, Darren.
I actually like Jackie in real life, but in this context, I'm just not happy.
You're just a little. Are you feeling threatened?
Yes.
He's intimidated by the real deal, Thiel.
But she doesn't have a red sweater.
No,
not yet. She's going to show up with one next time.
That's right.
She's rocking the kind of white, heavy cardigan. So we've had, not that anyone cares, but I'll say it anyway. We've had some HVAC issues in the building this week.
We're getting our boilers replaced, so we have no heat.
We have no heat, and it's been cold. 63 degrees in the building all week, so we're all wearing sweaters. But we're not here to talk about sweaters. No. We're not. We're here to talk with our guest. Our guest today is someone who has been a support for me in this job because she's one of the few people who can really understand the job. In addition to being a former city manager, she is a former mayor of the city. That's a thing I will never do. Not that I get to make the choice, but no, I will.
People will make that choice.
People will make that choice. I'm smart enough to know the choice that people would make. But Ginny Barney is with us today. Welcome, Ginny.
Thank you. Happy to be here. And I should say I'm back.
I know. Does it feel weird being in this office?
It does. It looks a little updated.
I made some changes.
You did. You got rid of the couch and the Oriental rug, and
there was an Oriental rug.
It was mine. I brought it in from home.
She would like to know where the rug is.
I would like to know where the rug is. I would have kept the rug.
I think before me there was an Oriental rug here that the police had confiscated.
Oh.
And I liked the look of it, so when that went away, I brought my own.
Oh.
And I took it home.
I should see if they have. I should
see what's in
that.
You
want to go look at police impoundment for your decor?
Can we go see?
Places to shop all over the city.
Can we go see if you have any impounded fancy Oriental rugs? It might smell a little funny.
True enough.
But let that strange odor air out for a couple months, and it'll be fine in your office. So, Ginny, you said that you are not a regular listener.
There are very few of those. So
I know.
I wasn't going to confess that on the air.
That puts you in good company, though, which is most of Upper Arlington. But we do something at the beginning of every episode called Start, Bench, Cut. So we're going to give you 3 things. And this is taken off of kind of sports podcast, but we're modifying it to non-sports stuff.
Oh, thank you very much. The world will be grateful.
So we're going to give you 3 things. And you have to say which of these would be your starter. So the thing you get to have whenever you want, you come back to it over and over. It's like heavy rotation. If it was music, it's not music.
If it's food, you eat it all the time. I don't know what it is this time, Steve.
No, Darren has no idea. Jackie helped on this. So,
of course.
Because Darren was no help. So we had to go, get some backup. So that's your starter. Your bench is something you can bring in off the bench. You can use it as a substitute whenever you want to. Cut, it's gone. You can never have it again.
Does not exist.
Does not exist. So in your prep work that you sent to us, you said you read 75 to 100 books per year.
Yes.
So I'm going to give you 3 authors.
Okay.
Start, bench, cut.
And if this doesn't work, it's all on Steve because I had nothing.
No,
Actually, it's all on
I've
Jackie.
never heard
Jackie.
of them. I'm in trouble.
I think you'll have heard of these. Agatha Christie, Danielle Steele. So Agatha Christie, think old school mystery, Murder on the Orient Express, Hercule.
Got it.
I can never. Yeah.
P-I-O-R. Yeah.
Hercule Poirot.
Yeah.
Poirot,
Sorry, I'm not going
yes.
to try to
Just
pronounce
say
it.
it like you got marbles in your mouth. Danielle Steele,
Slightly different genre.
slightly different, but heavy romance. E.L. James.
Oh,
Which one's
Do you know
E.L.
E.L.
James?
James?
Is that 50 Shades of Grey?
yes.
That's disturbing.
We add a little
Okay.
spice to it.
What a...
Those are
Weird
three
set of
interesting authors.
So if this is not the genre that you read, it's all Jackie's fault.
Yeah, exactly.
Because I was going to go with something much more like
Erudite.
highbrow and erudite, but no, Jackie took us down.
That's how
The
she
Agatha-
sees me.
Well, I particularly enjoy how like one of them is like a classic, one of the greatest writers of all time, and the other two are like,
One's like pop trash, and the other one's like, oh, okay.
yeah. So all right, well, you know what?
Right.
That's their question. I'm just going to sit here and enjoy
So
the answer.
the quality of my literature depends on my stress level.
Okay.
So as I get more stressed, the quality would go down. So I'm not sure if I would go starter, bench, or what was the last one? Cut.
Gone. All right, so you want to do super stressed and then like just chill?
Yeah, maybe I should
So-
do that
So
because
do it as thoughtful, like feeling good. So compare it to food. Which one's your junk food? Which one's your weeknight dinner? Which one are you going out for?
I'm still struggling with these authors. I guess the one
Yeah,
I
me
would
too.
cut would be James because I did read that series of 3, but I guess I wasn't stressed enough because I was, like paging through the sex scenes to get to the thread of the theme. So I would
So
cut
you,
that one.
you read that book to skip the sex scenes to get
I
the
know,
plot.
but the
Like you
thing
read it for the
was
articles and
they were always
The
the
only person.
Yeah.
They were the same. After you read the first one, they used the same words, the same sequence.
I have not read these books. I just
Well, yeah, I think you should so you could understand what I'm telling you.
Yeah.
So then I would read Danielle Steele if I'm just sort of on a beach. And
Okay.
So do you read Daniel Steve?
I have read some. I haven't for a while. I read enough of them early on that they're repetitive as well. Agatha Christie, I think, is smart. You never quite know where she's headed, so I really like her. In fact, I just read a book called by Marie Benedict. I don't know if you've read her. She writes historical fiction. She just wrote a book called The Queens of Crime, and in the early 1930s. Agatha Christie and Dorothy Sayers, and there were like 5 really good mystery writers, female mystery writers, and of course the men mystery writers didn't want them to have a place in the literature. So anyway, it's an interesting book on how the women writers got their place in history.
So which one?
So
When
Agatha
you're stressed
Christie.
out, you're not reading Agatha Christie. That's when you're feeling good? Or is it
Yeah.
the other way around? Okay.
When I want a thinking book, I would read that.
What author would be your favorite author? Because I'm guessing those 3, maybe Agatha Christie would be on the list, but the other 2 probably not so much.
Why not?
I mean, I like historical fiction mostly. I read nonfiction mostly because I really like stories. I like relationships and people. Kristen Hanna, I enjoy reading her books. Her latest one is The Woman, which is about the women who served in the Vietnam War, which is a really good read. I like Ariel Lawhorn. Her book just came out, The Frozen River, this year. It's a good one. Takes place in Massachusetts in, I think, the 1600s. Marie Benedict, she wrote Personal Librarian. She wrote The Queens of Crime. They're all historical fiction. So I like those a lot. I like a lot of authors. I will read a James Patterson when I want a quick read.
What is up with that guy? He has like a bazillion books. Does he actually write them?
No.
I was going to say, because like, it
He's
feels
got
like,
about a stable of 30 writers. So if you look at the cover that says James Patterson and
Like with,
Steve
and it's
Shoney.
like- yeah.
I mean,
I
need
do
to
have
get-
a side gig writing
I need to
formulaic mysteries.
I think
I
you
need to get
could.
someone to do that for me. Like, just
You
do my
have
work.
AI.
Yeah. Darren Schulman with.
Is that how our
ChatGPT.
legislation is getting written?
Not yet. Steve's trying to replace me every day with that. He's like, I don't need you.
All
I've
of
got
us.
AI.
Yeah. That's what we use.
Who was your backup author that you were going to do that Jackie overruled you on because she's not good with Star Patch Kid?
So
Ooh, Darren's trying to get me off.
I was actually going to go a different direction.
Okay.
And get away from book. I was thinking about doing something going like David McCullough,
I like him. Doris Kearns Goodwin.
yeah.
Yep.
going down the history, biography authors kind of Mount Rushmore, if you will.
I'm reading the Doris Kearns Goodwin latest, The
Yeah.
Unfinished Love Story right now.
Yeah. Throwing a Bob Woodward in there for all that stuff. So I was going to go that direction, but I'm going to turn it.
I like the way you see me as somebody that's really smart and reading his. And
So
I'm both. I'm both how Jackie sees me and how you see
Well,
me.
see,
Such a big
When you-
dichotomy there, yeah.
When you're reading 100 books a year,
I
you
read
have
them
to
all.
read them all.
I know.
I've read every book.
Every book.
No.
Yeah, we figured you'd read everything. So I'm going to turn it to your time at the city. So tennis, pools, pesticides.
That's epic, by the way. Still
Yes.
giving you a.
I'm
plug for that.
surprised you haven't put dogs on leashes in the park.
Oh, that's
In there.
You know, we have. Oh, I'm going to speak it into existence.
Don't say it. Don't say it.
I'm not going to say it. You know what I'm thinking, but I'm not going to
You
say
did
it.
such a good job with it that it hasn't come up recently.
Yes.
Oh, I'll have to think on that one.
So, which of those three things was your biggest challenge when you were city manager? Which of those was?
Now, are you asking the city manager or city council?
Yeah, you can do this as city manager or when you were on city council.
Okay, and the three were tennis, pools, and
Pesticides.
pesticides. I would say during my time as city manager, it was the pools because we were building the Reed Road Water Park at that point, and figuring out, do we need 3 pools? What do we do with the older pools? What's the pool going to look like? You lived through the remodel of the Tremont pool, so
Yeah.
you know a little bit about. People care about their pools, but when we did Reed Road, it went from being it was built when residents went to the pools to cool off.
Okay.
And you stood around and you were just happy
Yeah.
because you were cool.
Yeah.
To now, with air conditioning everywhere, people go to the pools to have fun.
Okay.
And so it was a big change. It was the first time we added the slides and the lazy rivers and the kids' toys and so that was a big change, and it took a little while to get to the right place.
So we're actually going to have to probably in the next 5 to 7 years revisit that whole discussion because, believe it or not, that pool's kind of reaching the end of its
Yes.
useful life, and we're
Yeah,
starting
just
to
like
have,
me, you know.
No. Now we can't change the pool. It's like
Yeah.
everything you worked on, Steve's taking out.
Yeah. So we're getting to the point where we're starting to have some
Yeah.
significant repair issues where it's like, okay,
It's almost 20 years, isn't it? Or 15 to 20 years?
yeah, 20 years. By the time we end up doing something, it'll be 20 years.
It's time.
Yeah.
So before we started the episode, everyone was kind of making fun of me for not having met you yet. And I have to confess, you are kind of like a celebrity to me because, first of all, you're all over the documents I have to review and stuff.
Ah, yes.
And also your picture is kind of right outside my office amongst all the former council presidents. So first I want you to kind of put in context for people like me who might not know you yet. When did you serve on council? When were you city manager? And how does that work? Because you're the first person I've ever met who's done both.
I think I have
And
done
you can
it.
do rough estimates if you don't
And
know.
Ike Stage in Grove City
Oh, yeah.
did it. He was on council and mayor and then went on to be the city administrator down there. But
He's still mayor.
Yes.
He's still.
I'm
he's
gonna see-
aging in place.
Yeah. We actually we got our Central Ohio Mayors and Managers Association meeting this afternoon, and I'll see Ike there today because
Well, give him my best.
I will. Yeah.
So I was appointed to city council in March of '87 after a council member resigned. And then I ran that following fall. So it was '87 through I don't know, what's 8 years plus 88 to 96, I guess. And then I went back to working full time in our family business, and then I was asked to. I became director, the first director of America's Promise here in Central Ohio, and then was asked to, and was appointed to Franklin County Clerk of Common Pleas Court, and then was recruited to come here as city manager. So that would be 99,
So
the
there's a little bit
fall
of a
of
gap.
99. Oh,
You
yeah,
didn't
there
just
was
roll
like
off council and
no,
that'd be
no,
weird.
no. That would be really weird. No, I had no intention, and in fact, when they asked me to apply, I said no. I was full off in a campaign and raising money, and I said I can't. But they kept calling me, and so I said, okay, I'm not interviewing, but if you want me, you can hire me, and this is how much money I want.
So I mentioned your picture is on that wall, kind of right outside my office. All the council presidents are, and there aren't a lot of women on that wall. And you mentioned Agatha Christie and the group of other writers. Did you experience anything like that, or is Upper Arlington just cool and it's not a big deal?
I was the fourth woman ever elected to city council. The second mayor, who was a woman. There were a lot of. I was at the time.
Was Yvonne the first?
No. Priscilla Meade.
Oh, okay.
Was the first. She was the first woman on council. The third woman on council. The first in maybe 15 years or 20 years. There were a lot of men who had served for like 15 to 20 years. I mean, it was like a career. That's when the 8 is Enough came into being.
The term limits?
Mm-hmm.
And the TV show, right?
Yeah,
That
right.
was
And the
before
TV show.
It was before that, but the TV show was before. But I think that's where the.
It was, it was happening at the State House, and there was some discontent. The city manager at that time was convicted of a felon of theft in office, and so, in fact, my career kind of follows men that are convicted of theft in office.
Not a
Which
good
is very
sign.
weird. I guess I'm the cleanup lady or something, the maid that comes in and makes things right. But because Hal Hearn,
Yep.
city manager, had issues and went away to prison. And then when I became clerk, I was following someone who went to federal prison for stealing $500,000 from the county
Oh.
treasurer. So cleaning that up and putting the safeguards in place is good, restoring trust.
Now, when you came back just to be clear, when you came to be city manager, it wasn't that Rich had done anything.
No. Rich was.
We broke that when you took over from Rich.
We broke that. He was the shining star and he was so young when he took over. He was so young.
They say the same thing about me.
Yeah. They never said that about me.
Aged you.
No, they don't say that about me anymore.
What do you like? What do you like better is a dumb question, but describe the differences between being on council and being the city manager who reports to council.
It's funny how the public sees those two roles. When they find out I've done both, they don't really care about the city manager. I don't think people really know that the city manager is really the person that actually runs the city, the CEO of the city. They're always intrigued by the mayor. I loved my time on city council. I mean, I was there because I began volunteering in the fire department and started that fire safety education program after we had a house fire. So I had worked and volunteered in the city and then became a city council member. I love the policy issues and putting those things together. I think when I was put in my application to be appointed, one of my issues was trees, street trees, and it was right after I got appointed that we began the tree commission. Oh. So as I drive down the streets of UA and see all these street trees that are so beautiful, particularly this time of year, I kind of get a sense of pride. The other was safety, and I'm trying to think of the third, restoring trust. And but as city manager, I love the size of our city because it's large enough to do things, but it's also small enough that you can see the results of those things and the people that work with them, and the relationships you build as a city manager are so deep and long-lasting, and I really enjoyed that.
Ditto. That you hit the nail on the head. I do describe. People will ask me all the time, what's the difference between the city manager and the mayor / president of council? And
They pay you more.
well, they pay you more, and I say it's the chairman of the board versus the CEO.
Yeah.
That's the easiest way to kind of explain it. So just think of Ukemi as Frank Sinatra, and there you go.
Who are you?
I don't know.
I need this analogy to go all the way through. And who am I?
Yeah, I'm curious too.
Yeah. Well, I
Think
don't
this
know.
through before the end of the episode. I want you
Okay,
to
I'll
map
think it
out.
through. I'll have to pull up my Rat Pack.
And who are we?
Okay.
Yeah, there's a lot going on here,
I don't
Steve.
know.
You got work to
Okay,
do.
I'm gonna drop that analogy. I'm usually pretty good with my analogies. That one didn't.
Your
work.
start bench cut was legit, though. I'm going to give you credit.
Mine or Jackie's was
Yours.
Yeah. I figured
Mine
that
was
your
more
answer, just
fun.
wanted to be clear.
It definitely was a conversation starter.
So
Oh, go ahead.
go ahead. No,
Go.
no, you.
When you were on council, you mentioned that the 8 is enough movement. So were there people who hired you who were on council with you, or had they kind of cycled off already? I'm trying to get the timeline down.
No, they were not. They did not serve with me, I don't believe.
Because that'd be kind of weird, like,
Yeah.
hey, I was one of you and now you're my boss.
No, they had kind of transitioned right as I was going off.
So what have you been doing since? So you left the city in not left employment with the city.
I went dark.
Did you go actually looking at your profile, maybe this didn't indeed happen, did you go completely off the grid, travel the world with nothing but a backpack,
Yes.
you know,
Yes.
do all that sort of stuff and
Yes, I
live in
did.
the woods with
Well, no.
okay, so you finished at the city in what?
It was the end of 2011.
Okay,
I left. The reason
tough time in municipal government.
it was a tough time in municipal government. There were going to need to be changes, and I knew I wasn't going to stay long enough to go all the way through those changes, and so I felt like someone else needed to do that piece. And it's hard to tear down what you've built up.
Yeah.
But also in my personal life, my dad was on hospice. My husband was sick. I had a new granddaughter. It was time. My energy needed to be elsewhere. And so the job that I loved and felt like I shouldn't be paid at all because it was just a pleasure to serve. I always
Steve
felt
feels
like
the
it.
same way, but
Yeah.
he
I
doesn't
love
like
my
it.
job. I do not feel like I shouldn't be paid.
If council, if you're listening, Steve's cool if he doesn't cut his paycheck.
Yeah, I never told that to council, but but I do feel, and I told the employees all the time that the greatest gift that we can give is to serve the people in our community, and I feel that strongly. You see the results of the work you do, and that is very rewarding and enriching and fulfilling.
You know, it's interesting. So we're recording this almost kind of 3 days short of 4 weeks since we opened the community center. And
Kudos, by the way.
thank you. It was a huge team effort. And as you know, better than most, 40 years in the making, and we would not have gotten there without, frankly, all of the swings and misses, to go with another sports analogy, that we had along the way. So, but, it's been really interesting with the new building and having a place where people can gather. The ability to see and feel that community impact is different. My guess is it probably feels pretty similar to how it felt for you after you opened Reed Road, right? And that sense of having something new for the community where people from the community, particularly families with kids, and the kids themselves, right? The late elementary school through high school kids, seeing that those folks super excited, because those are the people that as city manager you don't interact with that much, because either they're kids and they don't want to talk to you, or they're parents and they're just so busy that they're focused on what is happening next with my family.
Right.
And it's really fun to have that kind of central gathering place and that thing that's bringing the community back together.
Mm-hmm. It sure is.
Yep.
This building used to serve as that. I mean, over the years, it's really changed. The art festival was right out here in the plaza and in the green space. And I mean, there used to be things happening all the time here. And before they remodeled the downstairs at the lower level, that was a big place where they had, I think I took jazzercise down there. And there was a community kitchen down there. And so I think the community has evolved, and it's wonderful to see that. And
Is there
see
something
people.
that you were thinking about doing, like a big swing, like a community center, that you're like, I'm glad we just didn't do that? That would have been a bad idea.
I can't think of anything. I can
That's
think of
probably
things
good,
I
yeah.
wish that that had come to fruition.
What were the things that you wish you had gotten done that you
And
couldn't
Steve's
pull
going to
off?
steal them and just do it.
Yeah,
So-
that's
Well, I
pretty
don't
much.
think you can now, but there was it's partly about the community center or community park space, and it was Quarry Park. We were going to have a Quarry Park at the end of Lane Avenue down in that space. And I was on council at the time. I think I was vice mayor at that time. And we had raised some money from some wonderful residents to buy that land. And there were a few ankle biters that were thinking kids were going to die getting there, crossing Lane
people
Avenue.
still say that.
I know.
Jackie hears that like all the time.
Yeah.
So,
So that's a miss, but the property changed hands before we were able to publicly get it going.
Yeah, we got when Jack, were you service director? No, you'd moved over here by the time we got into the detailed planning on Lane Avenue.
Yeah, the shared use
The
path
shared
for
use
that.
path.
Yep.
Yeah, I mean, we got a lot of folks who thought by putting in a shared use path, we were going to put people's lives in danger along Lane Avenue.
Yeah, so what I've told people is there's a traffic signal. There's been a crosswalk there for years. We're making it safer so people don't have to walk in the street or ride their bike in the street along Lane Avenue. This fall, the community will see work kick off for the shared use path on Riverside Drive. That's
Great.
going to finally connect to the
Great.
new bridges on Trayview that are going to have shared use paths that go right into Quarry Park.
Perfect.
So, of course, as you're a pedestrian or a bike rider, you always have to use caution. But there are means that stop traffic, and you can get across and have a safer way to get there now.
Well said. I can see you've said that many times. You know, I think that's the challenge and the beauty of Upper Arlington is we hang on to tradition and not changing things, but somehow through perseverance we do move forward. But you will always have those that want to hang on to what it is, even though it's falling apart and status quo is dying in any city. So
Yeah.
I applaud you for moving forward.
Thank you. So back to you. So 2011, you leave city service. You help out with your husband who was sick. You help out with your parents, helping out with your daughter, you had the full sandwich generation experience.
I did.
That clears up. What are you doing now? I know you're reading a lot of books. We've established that. You're also serving on some boards and doing some community work. Talk a little bit more about how you're continuing to serve.
Well, unbeknownst to me and unexpected, I started executive coaching as people asked me to coach. So I coach about 15 people once a month and have since I did it. I mean, part of the joys of being a city manager is people will come to you and want your advice. And so there were a number of people that I kind of mentored. And after I left the city, they said they needed more, this is their words, not mine, more Ginny time. And would I coach them? And I went, oh, sure. So now I coach a lot of directors of departments and public agencies and things like that.
Do you enjoy that?
I do.
It sounds like it'd be fun.
I think it's a real privilege to hear people's stories. And so I I really enjoy that. It goes back even to the fiction books I read. I mean, I love stories. I love, and it is, it feeds me. So I really enjoy and think it's a privilege to be able to coach people. I'm chair of the National Church Residents Board this year and next year. I've been on that board maybe 10 years. I've been on the First Community Village Board. I'd served on my church governing board. I'm part of the Greater Common Good Board, who works with recidivism, with drug abuse and that sort of thing. So.
And most recently, you helped us with the fire strategic
Yes,
planning.
that was so fun.
Yes, we appreciated you coming back and giving us your insights.
So fun. Yeah, I'm the voice of history.
It was very helpful. And now the fire division has a 5-year strategic plan, and we have a live document that we're working on with the objectives that you helped us create. So
that's great.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It sounds like you're the go-to person for a board. Are you busier now than you were when you worked here?
I could be.
That's a lot of
It's
giving back.
learning to say yes and no. And you asked me before what I did after I left, and I did travel.
Yeah.
And I still travel a lot. But when my husband passed away, I was 67, and I had never lived alone in my whole life. I went from mommy to Marshall, my husband, right after college. We married the week after we graduated. And so I went on a semester at sea with college students around the world for 4 months. And that really was a time where I could figure out who am I now, and what do I want to do? How do I give the world my best at this point in life? And so that was really meaningful. And I learned so much, and I hear so many different stories when you travel the world. I'm really an advocate for travel.
There's a lot writing on this question. Do you have favorite locations or cities, or least favorite locations or cities?
It's hard to choose a favorite. It's like books. It's hard to choose a favorite. I really enjoyed, surprisingly, Myanmar. Getting into the countryside, and I did a hot air balloon at sunrise over the stupas, and it was beautiful and almost spiritual at that point. Morocco is a fascinating city and so much energy. South Africa felt like the place most like the United States in sense of space, because I'd been in India and China and Japan, and everyone is kind of spooning everybody else as you walk down the street. It's so that's a beautiful, wonderful place. There's something special about every place. Mauritius, which is a country I never heard of, is gorgeous. It's kind of like Hawaii in the 1950s, so I would recommend that if you can get there.
Yeah.
It's on the east coast of Africa.
Right.
The reason I said there was a lot
So-
writing on it is Steve.
So hold on. So if you were to say favorite metropolitan cities,
Oh, so you're trying to get it there. Okay.
Ooh, metropolitan cities.
Here we go.
I just want to see. If it
I
comes
want
up.
to.
Steve has a
After I
favorite
answer
place.
this,
I
I
wanna see
want
if you
you
get
to tell me why.
Yeah, we'll get
The
there.
whole time.
Okay. I loved Istanbul.
Okay.
I always enjoy London. I did an internship there in college. Cape Town's lovely.
What about favorite metropolitan
We'll
areas?
let's just cut to the chase.
America?
Where would you put Toronto in your list?
Oh, that's a lovely city.
Thank you.
Steve is like Toronto's biggest booster.
Oh, yeah?
And so he was like, it's in the top 3 cities. I'm like, I don't think anyone else thinks so.
It does get cold up there, but
It does, but it's a beautiful city.
But she said it was lovely. So
It did. She
I
did.
lived in Los Angeles, Santa Monica, in my early married days. That's a
I see
fun
that
place
being nice.
weather-wise.
Yeah.
Not today, but
Yeah.
in the early 1970s, it was.
It wasn't on
not
fire.
Bad, yeah,
Yeah.
It wasn't on fire, and it's funny the streetscapes there. When I lived there in the 70s, it was crowded, but now when I go back, the 2-story buildings are replaced by 20-story buildings, and the streetscape is the same. So the traffic is really busy.
Yes. Yep.
San Diego's lovely.
Yeah. So you
You've been
clearly
like
are on
every
the
city,
warm
by
weather.
the way. This is super impressive.
It is. That is an impressive. So how many countries?
I think I'm going to Belgium the end of this month on a barge through the canals. So I think that will be my 50th.
Are you tracking them? Like, do you have like a spreadsheet or something?
No.
You just kind of know.
No, but my granddaughter kind of asked, and so I was trying to remember.
I mean, at this point, you need one of those maps where you can put a
Or
pin
color in it,
Yeah.
the countries. I mean, I've been to Russia, but it's only St. Petersburg,
Yeah.
which is on the. And China, I've been to, Xi'an and Beijing, and Shanghai and Hong Kong, but not. I mean, it's massive. It's
Right.
like coming to
still
the
counts.
U.S. and going to New York and Miami. I mean,
So I want to one more question, kind of looping back to your board work and kind of that work. What do you think? What's the key to being a good board member?
not getting trapped or sucked into operations. You are there for policies and guidance, not there to actually do the work. You're there as a cheerleader for the leadership. And from a legal perspective, you're obviously the fiduciary of, and you evaluate the CEO. But
does that same advice framework apply to city council? Yeah.
You want me to tell your city council members
No,
to
not
stay out of get their fingers out of the pie? Just
No.
decide what kind of pie you want and go home.
Maybe that would not be.
See, I can say these things
unhelpful
now.
if you said that. No, it is. I do find it fascinating to look at how do you put together effective organizations. How do you get that effective combination of strategic leadership and kind of executive leadership, and people who've been on boards. It's just really interesting. It's an interesting question. This is where I get geeky.
I really like board work.
Yeah.
And I'm a regionalist, so I'm going back to when I was city manager, and I chaired Morpsey, and I chaired SWACO, and I chaired the Franklin County Emergency Management, and I think there's I love working with people and bringing people together on a board to get the work done, to let the employees do the work. That's another thing. When you're on a board, you don't have to do the work, so it's almost the sweet spot. But I think serving on council here helped me in my city management because I knew what council members needed to make decisions. And I also knew where they didn't belong. And so I could understand both sides.
Yeah.
And there is a real difference.
Yeah.
So do you have any hot take tips for Steve? Because you've been on both sides of the equation. Like, how can Steve be the best city manager he can be with his council?
Well, I think he's doing a darn good job now.
Wow, look at that. You've set her up this whole time to make you look at Steve.
But
Yeah.
I would, if I was going to tell anybody, any CEO of any that has a board, that to lean on the expertise that the board brings to you. Because board members, if you want them to be successful, they have to feel like they belong. So they need to know their other board members, because the more you know someone, the better the conversation is, and you make better decisions together, and you come to them that decision faster. They have to feel like they're listened to, that their voice matters, and they have to be learning something. So if you want an engaged board, they have to feel like they belong. They have to, feel like what they say is important, and they have to feel like they're learning, and then they can really be contributing. And so I would say to keep your board, your council, to just use them in a way that they feel heard.
One of the things that's I really appreciate about the board that we have, and you mentioned this, is understanding the talents and skills of each of the board members. And this version of our board, of our council, has a really good mix of skill sets. So we've got somebody with a fantastic communications background. We've got somebody with a sales, marketing, kind of customer experience background. It's a public board, so we've got plenty of lawyers. But the lawyers on the board all come from a different element of the law and a different perspective on the law. And so it really, we do try and kind of take that approach of, understanding what the board members can bring to the table. So, and it's, I'll use Lynch as a good example, Jim Lynch. Although I don't know if I should give him compliments because he still hasn't. No, still hasn't come on the podcast. But I'll give him a compliment anyway.
Maybe that'll entice him to come on the podcast.
Yeah, maybe not. Lynch is somebody whenever we've got a communications thing coming up.
Sure.
I call Jim and I'm like, okay, hey, are we on point with this? Is there something different we need to be? I need another set of eyes and ears on this. And he's there, and he's usually got great insight. Or he'll know somebody else who it's like, hey, check with this person on how to handle this. And, it's a great example of how to use a board and what they're really there for.
Right. And you're the chick for the city manager because you're, or any CEO, you're in the skinny part of the hourglass. And so you've got experts below you as well, giving you advice, feedback, suggestions, and you've got people above you. And so you are carrying that message back and forth.
Do a lot of translating.
Mm-hmm.
Yes. Yep. All right. We finish every podcast with 2 questions, and you've had a preview on these questions.
Oh, I have. Okay.
What do you love about UA, and what would you change?
Okay. Well, I love the trees. I mean, it's springtime, so it is beautiful out there. And as I began, I said the tree commission was something that I championed. So I love all the green that we have in Upper Arlington. I think that's something I love. I love that there's a grandma and a new baby on every block, that we are intergenerational. At one point, I had 4 generations living in UA. And I moved here with my husband and 2 kids, and there was no one related to me. So I love that intergenerational. And my daughter just moved behind me, and my son lives down the street. So the family connections and that intergenerational piece. I love our community events. I love that no matter where I go, I see people I know and can connect. What I would change is kind of the flip side of what I love, in that because it's so beautiful here in this bubble, that I think we need to get out of this bubble, and particularly with our children, to know that the world is not like this, that this is a special place, and we are so fortunate to live here and to live in this beautiful place. But there are kids all around the world that are starving, and in this country that are starving, that are having trouble even getting to school and learning to read, and playing sports is not even an option for them. So I would love them to learn more about the world, and then to give back to the world.
Yeah. Awesome. That's a great charge for everybody. Thank you for coming on.
Sure.
Thank you for everything you've done over the years. Thank you for continuing to serve the community, both in UA and broader through all the board work that you do, and
it's been my pleasure
to be part of the community. So thanks for coming on with us.
Thanks for inviting me.
All right.
It's my movie trailer voice. You weren't impressed.
Tonight on Smooth Jazz, we've got Miles Davis.